Hi, how's it going? As I wrote previously, I'm doing a series of videos to document a cleanse that I'm doing. I'm doing this because I think it's a topic and it's a type of cleanse that is not really spoken about unless you kind of go looking for it. And you go to specific kind of people giving you kind of really specific directions onto how to do it. I actually did a video of this like before to try and give information and just kind of tell people, oh, this is what I'm doing, and a lot of scientific stuff to back it, and I kind of deleted it because I thought what's more important is kind of initially letting people know why I'm doing it and why I think it's so important. So I'm going to give you a bit of history as to why I'm doing this. It probably all started back, although looking back this is probably when it started, but I didn't start having symptoms till about maybe 3 months ago. Yeah, I think it all actually started probably my last trimester of being pregnant with Rose, when I went to the doctors for the, gestational diabetes tests, and, my results came back slightly higher. And when I mean slightly higher than what they should have been, I'm saying like 0.2, 0.3 marks above what the normal readings were. And so they said, oh, look, you probably don't have anything, don't worry, because I was really physically active still. Not overly physically active, but, still physically active. I was eating pretty much the most perfect I've ever eaten in my life. I'm talking green juices every day. Nothing processed touched my body. I was eating fermented foods on a daily basis. And just, broths, pâtés, like everything that I should be eating, I was eating. So when those results came back, I was actually quite surprised, and so were the doctors actually, and they said, well, go do the second test, and it'll probably come up negative, so don't be too concerned. It just could be something maybe you ate today, even though I didn't eat a diet high in any kind of sugar at that time. So I went back, did another test, and sure enough, it came back again. My readings were a little bit higher than what the norm was, and again, it was only about 0.2 or 0.3 of a difference, but they said, look, you're reading for gestational diabetes, we've got to send you to the nutritionist and start putting you on a different diet. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. You're a bit vulnerable sometimes when you're pregnant and you don't really know what's going on, and something like that, can really lead to a bit of worry, especially because when you do have gestational diabetes, they say that your baby can become quite big, and I was really adamant of having a natural birth, and I didn't, the complications that happened with Marley, I was really worried that the same kind of thing would happen with Rose, and I didn't want another cesarean. So I went to go see the nutritionist, and the nutritionist looked at what I was eating and said, well, honey, you're not eating enough carbohydrates, full stop. You need to be eating, a bit more bread, a bit more rice, a bit more fruits and a bit more veggies, and but mainly you need like more, easy to absorb carbs like bread and pasta and rice, and you'll be fine. Now, me, with the background that I kind of have been, was a bit like, oh, I don't really know if I want to do that. But, so I said, okay, well, I'll go home and I'll see what I can do. And, sure enough, instead of adding breads and stuff to my diet, I started to add more things like more fruits and dried fruits in particular. I started to consume more dates and things like that. And looking back now, what I noticed is once I started doing that, I did actually start to experience more highs and lows in my energies than I had felt previously to starting to eat that way. I remember sometimes waking up in the mornings, I'm saying like 4:30 a.m, feeling like I was about to pass out, and pretty much, and I'd crawl to the kitchen looking for something, and I would, say to Kameyl, please get me something that's going to be sugary and absorb quickly. And I obviously didn't want to be having sugars and processed foods still, so I was reaching for the dates or, a teaspoon of honey, whatever I could find, and sure enough, that brought my energy right back up. But it started to get worse. But anyway, I was lucky enough to have been able to have Rose really naturally. She came on the day that she was due. She came naturally, no drugs, nothing. Although I did have complications where I did tear quite badly, and a little bit more on that later, because that ties into something else that another reason why I'm doing this cleanse. So anyway, everything was fine, happy, healthy baby. They did, however, because of my tear, put me on very strong antibiotics straight away, and my initial reaction when they said, okay, we're putting a drip of antibiotics, was no, don't, what are you doing? Like, I just had a natural birth to kind of give my baby the best kind of gut flora, and now it's going to be kind of all killed off just with these antibiotics. But you know, when you're surrounded by nurses and doctors telling you all these things that are terrible that are going to happen to you if you don't take it, I kind of felt the pressure and kind of said, okay. Luckily I was only in the hospital for a day because Rose and I were thriving, and when I got home, don't kill me mum and dad, I actually stopped taking the tablet antibiotics, but we were fine, and I was fine. I didn't get any infections or anything like that. But in saying that, I could feel from the get-go when I was taking them how strong they were, and I could feel my stomach just not coping, and I noticed Rosie was not coping either, because she was obviously absorbing it all in my breast milk. So the story goes on, and come 3 months old, Rosie starts to wake up quite frequently at night, every hour, which is, you know, you think, okay, I've got a sleep train or whatever, but intuitively I didn't want to do that. Then 1 hour turned into every 40 minutes, then every 40 minutes turned into every 20 minutes, and soon she was attached to me all night, which was fine, sleeping in the same bed, but she was still waking up every 20 minutes, and I became like a walking zombie. And she did this, no word of a lie, for over 12 months she's been doing this, and she still does it now, but not to the same extreme. Yeah, and saying initially and intuitively, and also with advice from some of my chiropractic friends, you know, the first thing that we thought of was parasite. So we took her to a naturopath. We put her on a parasite homeopathic drops, and yeah, it still didn't stop. The waking up still didn't stop. Now, as a result, I started to become really drained and really tired. But having the mentality that I had, especially when it came to exercise, I still wanted to move, and I thought, you know what, moving always makes me feel better, so I'm just going to go hard out at it. Probably not the best idea considering the injury that I had and how tired I actually was, and I ended up doing more damage to my body than good, and as a result, I really did harm to my back. And when I went to go see specialists, they pretty much tested me and say, your pelvic floor muscles are non-existent, and they gave me lots of rehab to do, and you know, told me to go do yoga and this and that, which should have been such a joy for me to do, but instead I kind of curled up into a little shell, and instead of, you know, rehabilitating myself, and especially with the knowledge that I know and the knowledge of the people around me, which is phenomenal, instead of doing, you know, rehabilitative stuff and still getting progress, I did nothing. I went completely sedentary, and it just, one thing built up another. So I'm having no sleep, I'm not moving, not even like, you know, slight rehabilitative movements, and I'm starting to consume a lot more sugar, and I'm very tired, and more things start to slip into my diet that I would have been an absolutely no to, and now these things start slipping back in. Also, you know, we were in limbo because we were going to move to the Gold Coast, and we decided maybe not, maybe we will. We didn't know what we were doing, so we weren't living in our own place, and we were so confused as to what life we were about to embark on. And as a result, again, you know, just the confusion, the fatigue, the lack of movement all started to build up, and you know, the choices I was making was just terrible, not just for myself but for my kids. And yeah, so other things started to slip back into our diets. You know, things that I would kind of say absolutely no to, I was allowing on special occasions, like really special occasions. But you don't realize special occasions happen a lot more frequently than you like to admit, you know, once or twice a month, which, you know, sometimes even 3 times a month, once a week. And before long, it starts to really build up. Mali last year, had really, really bad eczema. She got really sick, and we did a antifungal protocol. All of us did it together, and literally she woke up one morning and it was gone. And so that was the GAPS protocol, and thank you, Gus, for recommending it and talking us through it, because it did wonders for our family. But unfortunately, because, you know, we slipped into really bad ways, you know, all that kind of stuff started to come back. Marley's fungus started to come back. You know, she's waking up at night constantly telling me to itch her because she's so itchy. My energy levels were just, I couldn't cope. I've always tried to be, and I've always, you know, really focused on being a really patient, really slow moving mother for my kids, and that started to diminish. My patience started to run short to the point where I literally sometimes had to walk out of a room because I was just like, oh, I don't know how to cope with this situation, and I just wasn't in a good place. So yeah, tired, really fatigued, like my energy levels were just so low. Well, they are so low because I'm actually embarking on the cleanse now. Marley, her eczema was just starting to come back, although not as terrible, but you can see it starting to flare on her back, and she's waking up all night, you know, telling me to itch her now. On top of Marley waking up, I've got Rosie waking up, you know, every, you know, hour now. We've managed to get it to an hour, and she's uncomfortable. So I was lucky enough to, a couple of months ago, meet a person called Paul Check, which completely changed me, because instead of going into this cleanse just kind of nutrition, I'm embarking on it on a completely new angle. I'm doing it holistically. It's a spiritual cleanse, it's a movement cleanse, it's a nutritional cleanse as well. So there are a lot of things I'm changing, not just what I eat. And already in this week, I've seen massive changes. Again, another symptom I had was a lot of bloating, unable to shift weight. My skin, oh my gosh, became just terrible. And one of the things I'm doing in this cleanse is refusing to wear any foundations or makeup, because I really want to see myself as who I am and what I am and what's actually, you know, I don't want to pretend or hide. So I'm doing this, you know, full on. I don't know if you can actually see, you know, my skin is just not looking well, and I'm looking tired, I'm looking drained, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling drained, and yeah, things have to change. My family's not well, we're not healthy, and you know, we're in the industry of holistic natural health, and you know, it's time to change that. Something that really hit home to me as I was doing my research, so for me, I need to read. Videos and stuff are good and educative for me, but I need to see literature, I need to see things to back it up. And something that really honed in hard for me as I was, you know, I realized, you know, we've got this really bad infection again, and if we don't clear it, you know, we're going to get worse, is that parasites and fungi are Mother Nature's way of decomposing your body and pretty much taking you back to the ground. Something I learned from Paul Check. And when I heard that, I was so upset, because my daughters are 2 and 4 and they're going through this, and they should in no way be having to deal with, you know, organisms that are trying to pretty much decompose them and just take away all their nutrients to the point where they're not getting any more nutrients. It's just feeding these organisms inside them. You know, and yeah, so I guess the reason I'm sharing this with everyone as well is because 95% of our population have a parasitic and fungal infection. And, you know, we all have parasites and fungus, that's 100% of us, but you're infected when your body starts to favor the organisms over yourself. And 95% of the population have this happening within them, and they don't even realize. They think that how they're living or the things that they're feeling are completely normal. Cover it up with some cream, have some antibiotics, you know, just keep plodding along, keep pushing along. It's not the case. You know, I've talked about my symptoms, but symptoms vary from eczema, asthma, any autoimmune stuff is all fungally and parasitically related. You know, cancers, fatigue, bloating, people who can't shift weight, who are overweight, anyone who's been on antibiotics needs to kind of look into this. So yeah, this is my first video to kind of introduce why I'm doing it. I'm going to be putting up a lot more. I'm actually currently on my 5th day, and today has actually been like just the worst energy wise, but I'll put it in another video because I'm not gonna keep talking for another half an hour. I could, so I'll put them in smaller videos and smaller segments so that you guys can follow on a lot easier. But yeah, keep tuned, stay tuned. I'm going to be really honest about everything. Some of the details people might not want to hear, but this is just me being really honest in what we're doing and how we're doing it, and just trying to shed some light on something that I think is really important. So peace and love to you all, and stay tuned because the next one's coming probably really soon. I'm going to give a little video on what this week's been like for me, because I've seen some huge changes already, and really loving it. So peace, and take it easy, and